Okay, guys, I'm sorry I didn't film the part 2 of the Rapture video yesterday, but I was just kind of in my zone yesterday. I was watching a lot of TV, and then when I was going to do it, we spent a little bit of overtime on Bible time. We was having a little bit of fun. So anyway, I had my volume down this whole time, and I had to make a thing, and I paused the video, and I went back, and it was already done, and I saw the volume, and it was down on that, so I just turned it up, and it was all the way down, and I spent so much time over that. But anyway, I was reading in St. Matthew, chapter 24, starting at verse 35. And it says in there, heaven and earth shall pass away, or actually, starting in verse 27, it says, for as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with... I should probably go to my King James Version app here. Here, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to start at verse 30, where I was. You guys can follow along. Or actually, go here, find Matthew. Matthew chapter 24. Okay, in verse 30, start right here, where at the top, and it says, and then shall appear the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Excuse me. Now let a parable of Now let a parable of the fig tree when his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So no person down here. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna say a shout out to somebody that commented on my my part 1 of Rapture video. I think it was 2 days ago. And the shout out to you, and he said no one knows the day of the hour. It's right here in Matthew 24 verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So not even Jesus doesn't know, not the angels, and not nothing but God, not even Jesus, because he's Jesus is the Son, God's the Father. And he said, only my Father knows. See, it says, not even the angel, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. See, if I can just go up here, I'm gonna try to do something. Thought I could highlight stuff here. Oh. No. Oh. Okay. Wait. No, that's zooming in. Yeah, just technical difficulties. Okay. Well, I thought that there was some sort of highlighter here somewhere, but I guess I was wrong. But as you can see, it says my Father only. And if you go down a verse, in verse 37 says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the Son of so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Feels like I know here something. Is it here? Is it here? Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come, or doeth come. But know this, that if the good men of the house had known, and what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh. So that's all I have to read for here. But this is Rapture Part 2, so let's just see here. This is not what I'm wanting. I'm wanting to know here. Okay. I'm just gonna Google this. See what Google has to say. Are you gonna name them? Oh, I'm not sure. Name them. Well, it's not gonna name them. There are this website at least. No. Nope. Not gonna say. Well, never mind, but here I know most of them. Famines. I know I did this a couple days ago. Some of the signs I've already done, but we'll go over a couple more. Famine. I still said it wrong. Thought it was something else. Let's just actually named them off. All right. The Great Famine of 1845, the Bengal Famine of 1943. I guess it ended in 1943. The Holodomor at 1932. The Soviet Famine of 1932 through 1933. The Deccan Famine of 1630 through 1632, and the Russian Famine of 1921 through 1922. And guess what? We're having a famine in 2022. See here. Look here. I want to see here. It says official warned Wednesday. David Beasley, head of the UN World Food Program, said its latest analysis shows that a record 345 million acutely hungry people are marching to the brink of starvation, a 25% increase from 276 million at the start of 2022 before Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th. And I'm just going to look it up here because I forgot. Give me a second. Or did I spell that right? Famines? No. Here we go. Famines. Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. Good thing I'm right here. Yeah. We was just reading a couple verses away from there. Let's go down here to verse 7. Just scroll down a bit. It says right here, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. So let's go through these. Let's go nation against nation. Well, we already know all these wars. We just talked about Russia invading Ukraine. Let's take a look at these wars. According to Wikipedia, there has been about 10,624 battles in the history of mankind. The animated map below shows the histories of the wars in every battle. That's a lot of wars, as you can see. We're now kingdom against kingdom. Let's take a look. looking at Bible verses, but that's not what we're looking at because we just looked at them. Well, we do know about. I'm just gonna.
This came back from a search.
Kingdom. Oh my gosh.
According to medievalists.net, typically, they involved violent conflicts between kingdoms seeking to assert sovereignty within what they considered to be their natural, rightful or imagined borders and other political units seeking to resist these efforts and or assert their own claims to sovereign statehood.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear what Google just said there, but it says typically so there has been wars in medieval times, which is kingdoms. It says typically.
Check your internet connection and try again.
Wow. But it is saying that there have been. So, let's just look at what else was here. Fairness shall rise against nation, kingdom against nation, famines, pestilences, of course. We've already seen the famines, so world pestilence. That I think it's this disease outbreak. The 2 historic world pestilences. I want to see more results. I didn't mean to click on that website. No, I didn't want to click on you either. So more results. The plague of the Philistines. 20 pandemic and epidemic diseases. History's deadliest pandemics, plagues, smallpox, flu, COVID-19. World Health Organization. Everybody knows that pestilences. We got list of epidemic. Okay, let's see the list of Oh my gosh, that's a weird picture. But it says. I'm trying to look for something. Is it supposed to be up here? I'm not sure what epidemic is, and I know what a pandemic is. A pandemic is like COVID, but what's an epidemic? Cardiovascular disease and cancer are not included. An epidemic. Nobody cares. Let's just see the pandemics. Nobody wants to look at it. This is not a list. New disease outbreak 2022. I know monkeypox. We got monkeypox this year. Get these monkeypox. All these monkeypox stuff. Got the COVID. Got all these cancers and all these diseases. Flu. Everything. Starting from what was the first pest? Was the first pestilence? The first plague pandemic was the Yersinia pestis. So it's a bacteria. So now it's not. I don't know if it's in here in Matthew, but it did say, yeah, yes. It said, in verse 5, Matthew verse 5, chapter 24, verse 5. Let's go down one verse. Says, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." Well, guess what? Let's Google it, boys. Okay, let's see here. So basically, they're claiming to be Jesus, which isn't cool at all. The list. You see, there's a list of people. 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, 21st century. Let's see, the 21st century. In the 18th century, we had Kondraty Selevanov from 1730s to 1832, the founder of the leader of Skepsy sect in the Russian Empire. Anne Lee, 1736 to 1784, the founder of the leader of Shakers. Lee's follower referred to as his mother, believing that she was the female incarnation of Christ on earth. Let's see, 19th century. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, John Nicholas Tom, 1799 through 1836, a Cornish tax rebel who claimed to be the savior of the world and the reincarnation of Jesus Christ in 1834. He was killed by British soldiers at the Battle of the Beeston Wood on May 34th, on the 31st of May in 1838. In Kent, England. Arnon Potter, 1804 through 1872, schismatic Latter-day Saint leader. He claimed to be the spirit of Jesus Christ entered in his body, and he became Potter Christ, son of the living God. He died in an attempt to ascend into heaven by jumping off a cliff. His body was later retrieved and buried by his followers. Well, you know what? He sure didn't go to heaven. Baluwala, from 1817 to 1892, born shyly, adopted Babism, I don't know, later in 1844. He claimed to be the prophesied fulfillment and promised one in the major religions, including Hinduism, Judaism, Zoroastrianism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. He founded the Baha'i faith in 1863. The Baha'is believe that the fulfillment of the prophecies of the second coming of Jesus, as well as the prophecies of the fifth Buddha Maitreya, and many other religious prophecies were begun by the Bab in 1844 and the Baha'u'llah. They commonly compared the fulfillment of Christian prophecies to Jesus' fulfillment of Jewish prophecies. Were in both cases people who were expecting the literal fulfillment of apocalyptic statements. There's a lot of people here. William W. Davis, 1833 through 1906, leader of the Latter-day Saint schismatic group called the Kingdom of Heaven, located in the Walla Walla, Washington these are some weird things here. Washington from 1867 to 1881. He taught his followers that he was the Archangel Michael, who had previously lived as the biblical Adam, Abraham, and David. When his son Arthur was born on February 11th, 11th February, 1868, Davies declared that the infant was the reincarnated Jesus Christ when Davis when Davies, the second son, David, was born in 1869. He was declared to be God the Father. It says Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, India, 1835 through 1908, claimed to be the awaited Mahdi, as well as the second coming and likeness of Jesus, the promised Messiah at the end of time. He claimed to be Jesus in the mythological sense and character he founded in the Ahmadiyya movement in 1889, envisioning it to be the rejuvenation of Islam, and claimed to be commissioned by God for the reformation of humankind. And Cyrus Teed, 1839 to 1908, American physician, claimed to be the incarnation of Jesus Christ and to have obtained knowledge regarding the hollow earth theory, presenting a cosmological model or module, either one. I think it's model, having the earth as an inverted sphere and remaining universe located within it. Carl Brown, 1849 through 1914, American activist and leader of the Cox's Army protest movement, claimed to be the partial reincarnation of, guess what? Jesus. So in the 19th century, 18th century, and 17th century, there's so many people claim to be Jesus. It's all Bibles, just coming out. Bible's just becoming, it's becoming real life. Like, I don't mean it like, I mean it like, literally, all these things that Jesus said would happen are happening. All the things that John envisioned, they're happening. We'll be in Revelation in a minute to read some more things, but for now, let's look at this. This is going to be a very long video. We're almost hitting the 30-minute mark, but it'll be fine. Alright, for the 20th century, doesn't look very 20th century, but it's close. 1852 isn't close, but okay. Still read about it. John Hughes Smith Pigott, 1852 through 1927. Around 1890, Smith Pigott started leading meetings in the Agapemonite community as recruited 50 young female followers to supplement its aging population. He took Ruth Ann Priest as his second wife, and she had 3 children named Glory, Power, and Hallelujah. The house, which may have belonged to Smith Pigott in St. John's Wood, was visited by John Benjamin. In his film Metroland, it is built in the neo-Gothic style. It is currently the home of the television presenter Vanessa Feltz, whatever. Feltz or Phillips, either one, I'm not sure. And was previously the home of Charles Saatchi, I'm not sure. Smith Pigott died in 1927, and the sect gradually declined until the last member, Sister Ruth, died in 1956. Her funeral in 1956 was the only time when outsiders were admitted to the chapel. Also, if you go back here, it also says, as you can see, it says, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many." Well, this dude, some of these people had many followers, they're being deceived. So there's another way to say it, but here's another one. Here's the dude's picture. So, from 1892 to 1975. How do you live that long? That's a long time. Hail, Haley, I'm not sure. Selassie, L, 1892 through 1975, did not claim to be Jesus, and this approved of claims that he was Jesus, but the Rastafari movement, which emerged in Jamaica during the 1930s, believes he is the second coming. He embodied this when he became emperor of Ethiopia in 1930, perceived as confirmation of the return of the Messiah in the prophetic book of Revelation 5, chapter 5, verse 5, in the New Testament, who is also expected to return as a second time to initiate the apocalyptic day of judgment. He is also called Jah Rastafari, and is often considered to be alive by Rastafari movement members. Ernest Norman, 1904 through 1971, an American electrical engineer who confounded the Honorius Academy of Science in 1954, was allegedly Jesus in a past life, and his earthly incarnation was an archangel named Raphael. He claimed to be the reincarnation of other notable figures, including Confucius, Mona Lisa, Benjamin Franklin, Socrates, Queen Elizabeth the First. Does that say the first? And Tsar Peter the First, the Great. Wow, you can't say this stuff. Well, it's the Bible coming to life, like this part. It's coming to an end, buddies. How long? How much? Excuse me. We have all of these people claim to be Jesus, archangels. We're not gonna go through this stuff. I think we've seen enough of this. Now, we'll just flip through here a little bit more. Actually, we don't need to flip through here a little bit more. We've seen enough. Let's go back to our Bible here. Our Bible app, King James Version. Beautiful. And it said the last things here I'm going to say is, before we get to Revelation, is, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted. This is verse 9 of Matthew chapter 24, verse 9. Says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. That's 9 and 10. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. And the last thing I'm going to say here is verse 14, where it says, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So, excuse me, people are gonna be killed because of Jesus. And if you also, we went through this part where it talks about all the famines, pestilences, earthquakes, but it also says because of iniquity, shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And there's a lot of people that hate each other. There's a lot of people that, if you fight war, you're probably not liking the other country, right? Or not necessarily the other country, but the people in it. And most people force you to do stuff and also kill you. So we don't even have to go through that on Google, but we will for the last of Matthew. We'll look here. You shall be. Says then in verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. So if we go to Google here, and we would Google like people like. I didn't mean to shut up. Anyway, but if you Googled people being killed because of Jesus. Sorry. And let's just look at all of this stuff. 13 Christians murdered for following Jesus every day. An average of 13 Christians killed every day. That's nearly 400 Christians dying every month just because they follow Jesus. 16 Christians murdered for following Jesus every day. 5,110 churches or Christian buildings were attacked. 4,765 Christians were unjustly arrested, detained, or imprisoned, and 3,829 Christians was. Where does it say this again? Come on, I missed it. I guess it was said it was going to be killed. I'm just going to go with that. I don't know. I guess killed. I'm not sure. Killing in the name of God. People seem to be able to invent all sorts of rationales for mass killing without feeling the need to cite the will of God. And there's places that it's just illegal to do it. But as you can see, these two websites right here at the top, that's a lot of people. It doesn't seem like that many Christians killed every day. But for every month, an average 400 Christians dying just because they follow Jesus. Unrevealing itself. But let me flip through my Bible here because that's all we got from Matthew. Let's flip here to Revelation. I'm not sure. I forgot where it starts with all of the. Forgot where it starts. I think I went too far here. Let's just go. Where? See, I get a lot of my stuff off the internet. It's not always true, but most of this stuff seems like it's just seems right because of the Bible. And I know it's somewhere in Revelation, but I think I went too far. But I've looked for it and I can't find it. But I feel like it starts. I don't know. Talk about 7 trumpets. Revelation chapter 8. Is it though? Because this also says in the New Bible, but also in the King James Version. But let's just see. And the fifth angel sounded another steep fire. Unless the second angel. Okay, here we go. I found it. So Revelation chapter 8 verse. Revelation chapter 8. Revelation chapter 8. Verse 1. Let's read this, buddy. It says, Revelation chapter 8, verse 1. Excuse me. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the seventh angel, which had the seven trumpets, prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the green grass was burned up. So the first angel sounded here. This is verse number 7, where it starts. And this is where the 7-year tribulation starts. But I believe, happy news for the Christians, after the first trumpet, I believe we'll be going up with Jesus, So let's just read about here. Verse number 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, by the way, this is referring to as the rapture, so just to make sure this like where trumpets on and stuff like that. But anyway, and the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became, and the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and it was called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, 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 to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels which are yet to sound. Cool. It says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven into the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, and as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun of the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. But by the way, this is John writing down the visions that he's saying. So verse number 3. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon by the way, if in the little like numbers right there beside the verses is like refer to what verse it is. So let's start at verse number 3. And there came out of this, because this is what we was reading in verse number 3. Let's go. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, and the scorpions of the earth have power. By the way, when I said let's go, I didn't mean like that one meme. I meant it like, let's read this. So let's read verse number 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. I can believe this has been literally like 46 minutes. It's almost 46 minutes. It is 45 minutes and 50 seconds. But anyway, in verse 5, I need to stop talking after these verses. Starting now, hopefully. And to them, I'm not promising anything, but I'm gonna try to stop talking. Okay, verse 5. I must fit something important. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns of gold, and there were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots, of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollon. One woe is past, and behold, and there come 2 woes more hereafter. And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the 6 angels which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. The 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Verse 16. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinite and brimstone, and the heads of horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these 3 was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouths, and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. Sorry about this ad. Chapter 10, verse 1. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a crown, and a rainbow was upon his head. His head and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth, and cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. And when the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and sware by him that liveth for ever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things that are therein, and the sea and the things that in the sea and the things which are therein, and that there therein that there. I'm just gonna start this verse over. And swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven and the things that therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, which he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again, and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel. And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again, and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up. And it was in my mouth sweet as honey, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many peoples, and nations, and tongues, and kings. Chapter 11, verse 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom of Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people of kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth, that dwell on the earth. And verse 11, and after 3 days and a half the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the God of heaven. And the second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the verse 16, and the 24 elders which sat before God on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped God, saying, We give thee thanks, O Lord God Almighty, which art and wast to come, which art in WAST. Is that wast? I'm gonna say wast. I'm just gonna say WAST, and art to come, because thou hast taken to thee thy great power, and hast reigned. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. Sorry. Verse 18, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints of them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth, and And the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. Chapter 12, verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, traveling in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up into God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared she had a place prepared, a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, and she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with a woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Sorry about this ad. Read the next chapter. Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having set fire. Okay, here we get to the beast, which, it's the devil's, this is the bad part, the really bad part. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast, verse 1. And I stood, Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. I have to have these things perfect. I don't know why, but I just do, okay? So Revelation chapter 13, verse 1 in the King James Version Bible. The best one, the holy one. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto the leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world, all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, and who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Excuse me. Verse 8. Revelation chapter 13, verse 8. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, in the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience of the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. I think that's doeth, but I'm not sure if it's doth or doeth, but I'm going to say doeth. Okay? Verse 14. And deceived them that I'm talking about, like, in verse 13, the first, like, thing right here says, and he doeth or doth. I think it says doeth, but I'm not sure. Let's just read verse 13 all over again, and we'll go back to verse 14. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth and the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on. Now we're on verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. He is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of his beast, for it of the beast. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Read the next chapter. By the way, this has been 1 hour and 8 minutes. It's been 1 hour and 9 seconds, and it's been 1 hour and 9 minutes and 10 seconds. It says in Revelation chapter 14, verse 1, it says, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of a harpers harping with their harps, and they sung at..." Hang on, just let me check. Okay, we can read this. This will be the last chapter. Anyway. And I heard a voice from heaven. I'm just going to start with verse 1 again. "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written on in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with woman, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile or guile or gill, I'm not sure. It's either one of them. For they are without fault before the throne of God. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters." Excuse me. Verse 8. "And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand," verse 10, "the same shall drink of..." I just said verse 10. It doesn't actually say verse 10 in here, but I'm saying what verse we're on. And we're on verse 10. "The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of the indignation, and he shall be tormented." Okay, the same shall drink. I was just going to start over at verse 10. "The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, and the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of the indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Right blessed are and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Right blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from..." Verse 13. "And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Right blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth, yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man. One sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle. And verse 16, and he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, and her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. Verse 20, the last verse we're going to read today, and I think we're going to wrap it up after this. And the wine press was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the wine press, I'm going to restart verse 20. And the wine press was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the of the wine press, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Well, that's all we're gonna read. That's all we're gonna go through today, and I hope you all did enjoy this video. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, but that's all we're going to have for today. Maybe we'll make a part 3. Maybe we'll stop here. But either way, I hope you all have a magnificent day. God bless you all, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.